Story 1, the popular guy from 1st to 8th grade, who was also roughly the second most popular guy in my high school, either works at Vodafone or is doing theater. I'm not sure which one he is currently pursuing. The most popular guy from my high school was a surgeon last I checked. Story 2. He is somewhere in the mountains of the Carolinas, retired early, living his best life with his wife and children, and still one of the nicest people I have ever met. I wish him the best always. Story 3. Went to medical school and became an obstetrician-gynecologist. He nearly lost his medical license for cosplaying Frank Zappa's Dynamo Hum. Story 4. I have no idea. I left my hometown right after high school and haven't thought about them since. I hope they are doing well. Story 5. Severe alcoholism with a failing liver and no ambitions to improve. My heart breaks for him. Good luck, Mike. Story 6. Some of them had children immediately after high school and are working minimum wage jobs or trying to be musicians. A couple of the girls started doing online content creation as their only source of income. However, one of the judgmental girls who often critiqued others' appearances went to college, partied hard, used substances, lost a lot of weight, went to rehabilitation, then gained weight and now preaches body positivity. I appreciate the lessons learned through experience. Story 7. He went on to play college football, then became a lawyer, a city official, and a pastor of a church in the Deep South. He also coaches football and basketball. His life turned out very well. Story 8. A young man received a full basketball scholarship to an Ivy League university and was seen as a promising talent. However, during his junior year, he went out with friends, got drunk, and violently assaulted a man. Although the victim survived, he was left paralyzed, permanently legally blind, and required numerous reconstructive surgeries. The young man served 5 years in prison, lost his scholarship, and was expelled from college. He has since returned to his hometown, where he reportedly has 7 children with 6 different mothers and works in a warehouse. This information is about 5 to 6 years old, so his circumstances may have changed. He could have more children, be homeless, or possibly in jail again. It's a tragic story of squandering a bright future. Story 9. He was his party's favorite to run for governor until this troublesome issue called COVID-19 led to his downfall, despite his many attempts to discredit mask mandates and social distancing. Story 10. He was the valedictorian, captain of the football team, very good-looking, and a genuinely nice guy. It seems he is in a Christian band and is married to a doctor. Story 11. I attended a large school and 2 classmates immediately come to mind. One became a soccer player and had a chance to succeed, but he passed away suddenly before turning 25 due to a medical complication. The other classmate became pregnant shortly after graduation and is now a single mother and vlogger. Story 12. I grew up with a girl who believed she was exceptional and often joked about wanting to be a trophy wife. She is now dating a National Football League player, so it seems to have worked out for her. I never had any problems with her. She was quite attractive but also a bit unpredictable, so most guys from my hometown knew to keep their distance. As far as the rest of the popular kids I can recall, they are all leading very typical lives, at least to my knowledge. Story 13 reminds me of a story my uncle told me. He met the cool kids at his school 20 years later and asked them why they never talked. They thought he and his friends were the cool kids because they were so standoffish. Story 14. She is a middle-aged real estate agent in a toxic marriage with the captain of the football team, who has a serious spare tire, thinning hair, and is a mid-level salesman at Johnny Schmuck's pre-owned vehicle palace. Story 15. I am friends with her now. We were never friends in high school, but we were friendly enough because she was friends with everyone. We reconnected at our 10-year reunion when we were both living back in our hometown and had both gotten married around the same time. We also had similar plans for having kids. We ended up spending the entire reunion together with another girl, and the 3 of us have enjoyed a wonderful friendship for several years, where we talk daily and share our thoughts on being mothers and wives. It turns out the popular girl didn't care much about reconnecting with her old high school friends because she felt they brought out the worst in her and sucked her back into drama whenever they got together. I always thought she was shallow and fair weather, but it turns out she is lovely, loyal, and extremely extroverted, which is why she was popular to begin with. Story 16. The 2 most popular girls. One became a rocket and later took her own life a few years after graduation, while the other became a nurse and overdosed. Story 17. Honestly, most of them married at a young age and are still married with children who are grown or almost grown and have successful careers. Story 18. He entered home building and construction for the first decade after high school, from 1995 to 2005 or 2006, after a couple of years of half-hearted attempts at community college. He relied mainly on his spouse's income from 2007 to 2016 or 2017. Then, he returned to community college and became a low-level healthcare worker. Story 19. My ex-husband was the popular kid at his high school. He played football, was very good-looking, and was an overall great guy. He went to the military and unfortunately never received mental health treatment afterward. He became an alcoholic but is now a recovering alcoholic with 2 ex-wives and 3 children. Story 20. The most popular guy in my year took his own life about 10 years after graduation. He took his wife and 3 children with him when he did it. The most popular girl in school I ran into a few years back is having a tough time. She never left the small rural community. She has 4 children and an abusive ex-husband from whom she can't really escape. Story 21. They overdosed, another one killed themselves, and one is incarcerated. I attended a small school, and these were the kids who told us all to go to hell and forget ourselves. I didn't really find out until I bumped into someone I graduated with while getting some food. Story 22. The 2 popular kids peaked in high school and never attended college, traveled, expanded their horizons, or did anything that positively contributed to our community. They post many photos of their children and now grandchildren. Story 23. I am not sure about the popular kid, but one of the least popular was among the last chosen for a mission in space. Additionally, I defeated him in a few chess games, winning 2 times out of 50. Story 24. I wasn't that close to him, so I'll never really know why. He always seemed happy, but you know the rest of the story. Story 25. I was popular throughout middle and elementary school, mostly for my kindness. However, that popularity diminished in high school after I graduated middle school in 2020. But I somewhat regained my popularity around the middle of my sophomore year because I played Minecraft on my laptop. I don't know why. All I wanted to do was play Minecraft in peace. Story 26. I own a small business, but the popular kids at my school were all quite intelligent. However, he is also a really nice guy. There is no stereotypical story of a dumb jock here, I'm afraid. Story 27. The well-liked people are living happy lives. Those who believed they were popular are frequently posting on social media and trying to persuade others to buy from their multi-level marketing schemes. Story 28. He went straight to the National Basketball Association, playing on several different teams, but his coaches said he was lazy. I believe he was the first player to shatter a backboard during a dunk. His nickname in high school was Dr. D. Story 29. It is truly unfortunate that she married someone who abused her, and now she is going through a difficult divorce while fighting for custody of her child. She was beautiful, popular, and intelligent. Story 30. I went to a university 45 minutes away, married someone of the opposite gender in the high school hierarchy, settled down up the street from their parents in our hometown, and had 4 kids before turning 30. Being a big fish in a small pond is quite appealing. I would care much less if they hadn't contributed to making high school a bit miserable for me. Story 31. He was a blue-chip football recruit who received a scholarship to play college football. After going professional, he attacked one of his coaches in a rage from using steroids. He received a lifetime ban from the National Football League and now fills expired fire extinguishers. Story 32. We had several popular children. Many went on to college, earned degrees, married, and had children. Some are now divorced, while others continue to lead fulfilling lives. Story 33. He tried to leverage his popularity to attract people to a pyramid scheme. Initially, it worked, but soon everyone wised up. He moved away and went from one dead-end job to another. I don't fully blame him because he was a good kid and faced difficult circumstances while growing up, including his mother passing away suddenly when he was 13. However, there is no better way to burn bridges than through pyramid schemes. That being said, he was just 17 or 18 when he got involved himself. Story 34. Most popular kids at my high school had a total burnout phase, had children at a young age, ruined their lives, and most recently were using foul language on social media, blaming everyone else for their situation. However, this was a Christian high school. Story 35. Married to a doctor, he just sold his $1.2 million house to buy an even better one. Drawbacks of his life. His younger brother died in a tragic car accident. He was ejected from an open-roof Jeep into a large rock after the driver oversteered on a sharp curve. While his life may seem picture-perfect, the loss of his brother casts a shadow over the situation. He was not only popular but also a very laid-back individual, my good friend for years, although we lost touch in the last decade. Story 36. The popular man went on to own a steel beam construction company and is now retired. The popular woman lost herself in excessive drinking, became divorced, and now lives alone in a trailer home. Story 37. The most popular girl became an air hostess for WestJet Airlines. The most popular boy went to Japan and is currently a teacher at a university there. Story 38. Their parents were wealthy. They provided the resources necessary for them to earn good grades and succeed in school. They also supplied everything needed to be competitive as athletes. This made them very attractive to colleges, so they were admitted to the right school and unsurprisingly did well in college as well. They graduated and secured good jobs. Now they are very successful and thriving. I do not know about you, but the only individuals who peaked in high school were the burnout students and the ones who struggled. The same qualities that make a high school student popular are the same qualities that contribute to adult success. Story 39. He drove his Ford Mustang into an electrical pole because the girl he was with at the time dumped him just before Christmas and he died. Story 40. I'm not even sure who I would consider popular from my school. There were only about 150 in my class. It was hard not to know a lot of people. Story 41. He married, had 3 children, and died before he was 40. He was a very nice person despite his popularity. The girls were swooning over him, and the guys wanted to be like him. From all accounts, he was a decent human being. Story 42. There was a person from a wealthy family who seemed to have everything in life. Trained to be a chef, he had the family resources to open his own restaurant. Unfortunately, he fell in with the wrong crowd, and occasional use of recreational cocaine turned into a full-blown addiction. With financial support from his family, he was able to sustain this habit. Eventually, his purchasing behavior changed, and he began supplying friends since he had access to larger quantities than others. He managed to fund his addiction without relying on his family's money. He was arrested while carrying far more than what could be considered personal use and received a 6-year sentence. I have no idea what happened to him after that, but I hope his passion for food returned and that he found peace with his addiction. Fundamentally, he was a nice person with no arrogance. I hope he is doing well. Story 43. She's not popular, and I barely knew her, but we were acquaintances. She was an average girl, not particularly pretty, and not overly curvy or anything. A few years after high school, I downloaded social media for business and followed people I had met. We both followed each other. Currently, she has 50,000 followers and receives gifts like Louis Vuitton items and flowers all the time from men. She created an OnlyFans account for a few months but then stopped. She also models. She attracts wealthy men who take her on their yachts and boats. She became incredibly pretty and now has a curvy figure seemingly out of nowhere. I have no idea if she had surgery, if she's a late bloomer, or if I just didn't see her that way in high school. I'm pretty sure 95% of her followers are men who want to be with her. When asked if she works out, she said she doesn't and that she has never had a Brazilian butt lift. If that's true, she is just naturally attractive without even working out. Another girl from my school, who was pretty and more popular, had a boyfriend who stabbed her multiple times and killed her best friend. This was reported in the local news. She then later started a crowdfunding campaign for herself and gained a lot of money. Months later, she randomly posted a picture of herself with a Lamborghini, which I assumed she purchased with the crowdfunding money. This specific girl, by the way, doesn't have a large following, and I don't think she makes enough money to buy Lamborghinis. If she did, she wouldn't have needed to start a crowdfunding campaign. Story 44. She was the senior class president and maintained nearly all A's in high school. However, she couldn't attend college because she became pregnant. She got married and had 3 or more children. I saw her one day sitting on a bench, waiting for a bus to take her to her likely minimum wage job cleaning rooms at a hotel. Story 45. A world-famous fashion photographer caused absolute havoc in all the classes I had with him, which is quite impressive. Story 46. I processed her application for Minnesota Family Investment Program cash assistance and read all the Child Protective Services notes about her. The children are safe, but I found it slightly amusing how her life turned out since she was very unkind. She also gained a considerable amount of weight, which made me a bit happier. She was the typical mean girl on the dance team, blonde, slim, and wealthy. Story 47. I am scrolling on Reddit. Just kidding. I was not popular by any means, but I really have no idea who was actually popular. Story 48. For men, 1 overdosed, 1 is missing, and 2 gained weight. The 3 women are all single mothers to a black baby and complain about it online. Story 49. The senior class president was arrested for arson. The most attractive student committed suicide. The homecoming queen died in a car accident. Story 50. Miss Homecoming Queen and cheerleader captain apparently got married about 4 or 5 years after graduation, moved to a different state, and had 4 children. Story 51. Most of the popular students in my school were wealthy, so they made significantly more money than their peers. Story 52. Guy was a problematic individual, but the school declared him a prodigy. He received a full scholarship to a prestigious school for football, but was later expelled. Subsequently, he attended a lesser-known school on another football scholarship and was arrested for cultivating mushrooms. Authorities were tipped off and visited his parents' house, where they found him hiding under his childhood bed. I learned, maybe 5 years later, that 3 girls came forward accusing him of assaulting them in high school and college through one of his old friends. One of the girls was dating a teammate of his since 6th grade, which was about 8 years at that point. When his teammate discovered the allegations, there was an altercation, resulting in him being severely beaten, and he ultimately took his own life. Following this, he never played football again. Meanwhile, his 2 older brothers both made it to the National Football League around the same time he was found under his bed. Story 53. Information is now 20 years out of date, but the president of my high school class was very successful working her way up on Wall Street before she married the heir of an old money family, moved to the Midwest, and had several children. It is strange to think that those children are now college-aged. Story 54. Is there such a thing as popular kids outside the United States? I can't think of anyone who would fit that description at my high school. Story 55. He died about 10 years ago. I don't know many details, but I believe he suddenly fell ill and passed away shortly afterward. It was a huge shock. Story 56. Every time this topic arises, 3 individuals come to mind. The first is the kid who was extremely popular in elementary school. I'm not sure why he stands out to me, but he always does. He peaked in 5th grade. By middle school, he was smoking cigarettes, and by high school, it was alcohol and marijuana. He was removed from the football team due to excessive minor in possession citations. I'm not entirely certain if he graduated with us. The last news I received about him was approximately 10 years after high school, when I learned he served time on drug charges. He could be unpleasant at times, but I still feel a bit sorry for him since we were friends as children. The other 2 are the captain of the football and baseball teams, as well as the head cheerleader, both of whom were also class valedictorians. He received a college baseball scholarship, pursued a career in education, and is now a high school teacher. I believe he is married with children now. Although I haven't spoken to him in several years, he seems happy, and I truly hope he is, as he was a good person who deserves happiness. She obtained a Doctor of Philosophy degree in chemical engineering. I encountered her a few years ago when I gave her daughter a snowboard lesson while working as an instructor at the local ski resort. She mentioned that she had recently gone through a divorce but was still on good terms with her ex-husband, who was also present that day. She seemed reasonably happy, and I hope she is, as she too is a good person deserving of happiness. Story 57. They are married to someone in Trump's administration, have gained a significant amount of weight, and behave in a completely foolish manner. I'm not sure if they would even return to our liberal hometown anymore. Story 58. I just had a look at her now. She looks like one of those stylists from The Devil Wears Prada. Her parents were extremely wealthy, and she had the best of everything. Her house was something out of Grand Designs. There was never a time she didn't have a boyfriend. I always wondered what it would be like to be her just for one day. Story 59. My school was really small with 32 students in my graduating class, but our prom king ended up in jail for soliciting underage girls. Story 60. Story 1. The high school quarterback married the head cheerleader. She was beautiful. He was tall, handsome, and talented. They were homecoming king and queen. They are still married over 35 years later. He went to work for his father's business, which continued to expand. He now owns the business. They have done well financially, and they are still kind people. However, they are not very friendly and still think they run something, but nonetheless, they've done well. Story 2. A very popular guy became overly involved in drugs and ended up in rehabilitation several times. He found religion and came home. He married another cheerleader from the same school as in the previous story. He attended college to become a preacher and did well, getting larger and larger churches. He started writing books and developed a big ego, becoming too important for his old friends. He apparently began an affair with a congregant's wife, who happened to be the wife of a Hall of Fame Major League Baseball player, while she was also a mid-tier pop star. When the Hall of Fame player found out, he sued the pastor. The wife left him and the church fired him. He became unemployed and broke. Story 3. There was a kid who was not popular and quite forgettable. He had no dating success and was only friends with others who were unattached. He was a bit awkward. This continued in college, so he dropped out to work. All three individuals were in the same class, so he would be in his mid-50s now. He turned out to be good at sales and was a hard worker, possibly a bit of a workaholic. He advanced into management and excelled. Eventually, he started buying and selling several businesses. Now he is the wealthiest person from our class. He owns multiple homes, retired a few years ago, and is very kind to everyone from our youth, yet at the same time has absolutely no connection with any of us in a respectful manner, if that makes sense. Interestingly, most of the popular crowd peaked in high school, and I really don't know much about them or where they ended up. I assume they faded into obscurity. However, those three stories from the same school stand out. Story 61. I have no clue and I don't really care. I moved 4 hours away for undergraduate studies, half the country away for graduate school, and now I am 4.5 hours from my hometown in a different direction from my undergraduate studies. I haven't been back for any reunions or anything like that. Story 62. They are all individuals now who share photos on Facebook from high school, reminiscing about their past achievements. Story 63. There were two individuals who were polar opposites. One is now deceased, and the other, as of my last check, is an engineer with a master's degree. Story 64. Our valedictorian became a parent shortly after high school and never attended college. She has a total of 7 children with 4 different fathers. The most popular girl in school sadly passed away due to a heroin overdose. Story 65. She started a blog about how she was always the victim. Then she moved to Texas and got divorced. After that, I don't know, and I'm glad. Story 66. I'm married to one of them. He is sitting on the couch with me, watching Yellow Jackets. We have a nice middle-class life with 2 kids and a dog at the beach. He still has a following of people who want to be around him, and I jokingly tell him that he should be a cult leader. He, unsurprisingly, works in sales. I'm not sure what happened to anyone else. We moved over 800 miles away, and I don't keep up with my hometown anymore. Story 67. One of them married a drug dealer and had 4 children with him, raising them alone while he served a prison sentence. She recently divorced him, and I am not sure what she is up to now. Another started a line of specialty underwear that received support on Dragon's Den, and I believe she is a millionaire now. One of the men was signed to the Toronto Blue Jays baseball team, but was later removed for the same behavioral issues he displayed in high school. Story 68. A popular girl married a popular boy. They are still married after 40 years and have 3 beautiful daughters. They are very nice people. Story 69. He seems depressed because he realized that people's validation doesn't matter. He has secluded himself from most and is focusing on working out. I will go see how he is doing. Story 70. He was an all-star football player and a notorious troublemaker. He received a full-ride scholarship to play football at a prominent university in my state. He excelled in college and was expected to join the National Football League. Unfortunately, he fell asleep at the wheel while driving home from college for a break, crashed, and is now paralyzed from the waist down. Rumors in the town suggested he fell asleep because he was under the influence of opioids, which aligns with my past experiences with him. From what I can tell, he is doing well now, but I believe he remains the same person as before. I keep my distance from him, but friends of friends still maintain a relationship with him. Story 71. Had this whole shtick of being the funny character when it mattered and a bully the rest of the time. Imagine baby Brent McHale from Cloudy with a chance of meatballs, but with a bullying side to him. Last I heard, this guy had been in and out of jail for drug-related crimes and can't get his act together, thinking he can still get by with things like he did in school. I'm not even sure if he's still alive, to be honest. Yes, the schadenfreude is a nice cherry on top. Story 72. He went on to have a small role in a television series about drug manufacturing that hardly anyone watched. The character's name was Jesse Pinkman. Story 73. There was a guy in 9th grade who was quite popular, but he always struggled to earn the respect he felt he deserved. We all thought he had it made because his father owned a car dealership, and the family was well off in a large home in a posh neighborhood. He always had the best clothes and money for everything, along with the newest items, but he felt he needed more respect. By 11th grade, he was committing robbery and dealing drugs. He spent some time in juvenile detention and later periods in jail, where he joined a gang. He was in the news 3 or 4 years after we graduated because he did something that many, including criminals, find distasteful. It created a rift between his gang life and the friends he grew up with. He broke into an elderly woman's house and assaulted her, causing multiple broken bones and fracturing her eye socket. He terrorized her for a couple of days while trying to rob her of her life savings. From that moment on, he lost his friends and was left with only his gang family. He lived a chaotic life of abusing his partners, becoming a pimp, and selling hard drugs to children as young as 11 or 12. He faced accusations of raping multiple women, and 7 years later I heard he had overdosed. Good riddance. Story 74. My high school had over 6,000 students, making the concepts of being popular or unpopular lose all meaning with that many people. Story 75. I graduated in 1991. I heard that Billy died in a car accident about 25 years ago, and I lost contact with Shane not long after graduation. Last I heard, he is living in a rundown apartment, jumping from job to job after being arrested for several petty crimes. Story 76. There were several popular students in my grade, and people mostly stopped caring about what they did after 9th grade. Most ended up with normal jobs and seemed to be doing well. One went to jail and became a born-again Christian influencer. One appeared on a court show. 2 were caught robbing a friend's house while the friend's family was at a funeral for one of the parents. 1 runs a successful horse ranch. Story 77. She was beautiful, her parents had a lot of money, and she was one of the most horrible people I ever met in my life. She is a nurse now. Story 78. I'm still in touch with one of them. She is currently studying at one of the top 5 universities in my country, doing well and still a dedicated gamer like she was in high school. Story 79. He struggled with substance abuse and depression, but he got clean, has better health, and now he seems to be doing great. Story 80. The girls who dated many people all got married to wonderful partners and had 3 to 4 children. Isn't that interesting? Story 81. One guy who resembled Casper Van Dien was very popular but was a complete jerk. He once made fun of me for being poor, which was strange because I considered myself middle class, and we lived in the same neighborhood. He later became a doctor who travels the world performing surgeries on children in need. I haven't spoken to him in about 25 years, but I often wonder if he's still a terrible person. Story 82. I don't know what happened to anyone I went to high school with after 2014 when I moved away from my hometown. Story 83. One day, he followed me on my way home, physically assaulted me for being bisexual, and ruined the rest of my school life because I didn't fight back. He then moved away after my family called the police on him, and now he's apparently very overweight, spends all his time vaping and staying indoors. He reportedly engaged in sexual acts with someone who was underage. He's 16, the other person was apparently 13 or 14, and the person involved was a boy, so he was closeted the whole time. After I heard all that, I decided to confront him and messaged him on Snapchat, expressing how much I hated him and calling him a pathetic bully who took out his repressed emotions on those who couldn't or didn't fight back. That day felt good because he lost that exchange. The reason I didn't fight back is that I'm much weaker than he is. He used to play sports and work out while I spent my time indoors playing video games. I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of all the people recording the event. I am still in school and continue to face harassment in public from classmates about the incident. The only reason he was popular is that all the girls liked him, he got along with other popular boys, and he was one of the strongest in our year. He played soccer frequently. He followed me and assaulted me because people were spreading rumors that I liked him. I most certainly did not. He was unbearable from day one. Additionally, I was supposedly staring at him in science class that same day, when all I did was glance at him occasionally, thinking he was looking at me. Story 84. I don't know. I do not keep up with any of them on social media or anything. The few people I do keep up with do not know either. They were nice enough to me, so I wish them well. The creepy kid, however, got expelled for cheating and later got arrested for harassing a minor. My school really should have addressed the situation sooner. Story 85. I have many old high school friends on Facebook, and honestly, most of them are just doing what adults do, working, raising families, traveling, and so on. At my school, most of the popular kids were wealthy, as I grew up in an affluent area. Many of them had a quick step up in life and are now relatively wealthy themselves. A few still have that snobby mentality, and ironically, some who weren't popular but married rich are now acting like they are still in high school but popular this time. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.